out of all of the depraved crap that you see regarding the war in Ukraine, I mean, this one really takes the cake for me. This was a video on CNN. Just watch. Please, just watch.
It seems increasingly likely that Ukraine will be getting F-16 fighter jets in the future. However, its military forces on the ground are also getting some upgrades. CNN's Nick Robertson reports on the new tools being added to Ukraine's arsenal.
The cold effect. So after 3 or 4 days in the cold, if you're leaving it outside or there's no heating, these will last probably 3 weeks.
Ukrainian troops get a lesson on covert bomb making.
That goes through your battery.
British explosive.
She called it an upgrade, a terrorist bomb making class. It gets better. It gets better.
Explosives and counterinsurgency specialists pass on decades of know-how to soldiers already well versed in normal frontline combat. But these are no ordinary bombs. They are secret weapons in Ukraine's clandestine arsenal.
God, decades of experience. Did you hear what he said? Decades of experience. You know, as somebody British who, if you're British and you're watching this, you heard his accent. You know, if you're Irish, you know his accent. The guy giving them a bomb making class, and they said he's British, and you can hear he's British. He's from Northern Ireland. That's a Northern Irish accent. Let me play that again. Decades of experience in bomb making. Jesus Christ. They couldn't fucking send someone from London or Liverpool. No. Let's send them someone from the Troubles, right? Someone from Northern Ireland with decades of experience of blowing people up. Wow. They certainly sent the most qualified person, right? Listen again.
The cold effect. So after 3 or 4 days in the cold, if you're leaving it
Look, man, there's no amount of editing in the fucking world that is gonna hide that this guy's from Belfast, right? What's the crack, Jimmy? God, awful weather, so it is. That is a fucking Belfast accent. This guy is Belfast. He's from Belfast. He's Northern Irish. He's British. And he's teaching how to make bombs. I mean, if you're Irish and you're watching this, you must feel fucking insulted. You must feel outraged. Outraged because you remember what they did in Dublin and Monaghan. You remember the collusion between the UVF, right? So the Ulster Volunteer Force and the RUC, which was the police there, Royal Ulster Constabulary. The British state was basically giving these Protestant or I mean, it's not really about religion. They try to make it about religion, but they're giving these paramilitaries bombs, weapons, all sorts of training. The exact same thing you saw in the footage that they're teaching the Ukrainians now. I mean, forget about, put aside the fact that these Ukrainians. What if someone in the room, sitting in the room, is a white supremacist? What if they have, terrorist tendencies? They're fanatics or extremists, and the stuff you're teaching them, when the war is over, they're going to go and teach other people, and then you're going to have bombs all over Europe, right? Same thing like with this blowback you had with the CIA training Mujahideen, giving them weapons, giving them training, and then all of a sudden you have Al-Qaeda, and you have, and then also Taliban, but Taliban's a different story. You have Al-Qaeda, which that springs up. You have ISIS, and forget about, man, Latin America. The list goes on, right? Or Savak in Iran. You have all these police or terrorist groups, secret police or terrorist groups are trained by Britain, by America, in this stuff, this clandestine bomb making and terrorism. Jesus Christ. I mean, this guy, no amount of pitching is going to hide that he's from Belfast. Just listen. If you're British, you know what I mean. If you're Irish, you know what I mean. Just listen to this guy teaching them how to make bombs. And the anchor is like decades of experience. Yes, oh boy. Blow us up a few patties, eh?
The cold effect. So after 3 or 4 days in the cold, if you're leaving it outside or there's no heating, these will last probably 3 weeks.
Ukrainian troops get a lesson on covert bomb making.
That goes through your battery.
British
Watch your
explosives
battery.
and counterinsurgency specialists pass on decades of know-how
Yeah,
to
yeah.
soldiers already
Counterinsurgency specialist. Yeah. That's a funny name for a sanctioned terrorist.
well versed in normal frontline combat.
Intentionally blown up property.
Jeez. You'll have to forgive me. I'm laying it on a bit too much with the Belfast accent. But again, if you're Irish, if you're British, if you're either one, you can tell this guy is specifically from Northern Ireland. He's British, and the anchor saying, I'm repeating myself because it's so outrageous. I cannot believe that this is they actually published this. This had to go through like several layers of people, and before it was actually uploaded, and they all okayed it. It was like, yes, this is good. Jesus Christ. I mean, the funny thing is that this video, you could have shown it, 40 years ago. You could have shown it 50 years ago, and it would be just as relevant, and it would be the exact same thing. And the people sitting in the room would be people, from these paramilitaries, like the Ulster Volunteer Force, UVF, and so on. Jesus, and even to this day, you need to understand, man. This is the stuff that's happened in Ireland. It hasn't healed because even as recent as 2016, you still have these inquiries, right? We love doing inquiries in England that lead to fuck all, that lead to nothing, to jack shit, right? These inquiries finally admitting that yes, the most deadly terrorist attack throughout the entire Troubles, okay, from 69 to 98. The entire 30-year period, the most deadly terrorist attack was carried out by the British state through paramilitaries that they trained and armed. That's that coming out in 2016, and you still have people, the relatives of the victims, trying to get justice. So imagine how they feel. You see how angry I am? Imagine if you're a relative from someone who died in the Troubles and you're watching this shit. Somebody from Belfast being sent to train people in terrorism. You can call it, their resistance against Russia. I really don't care. It's not about who they're training, which is already another issue that I touched on. The fact that it's someone from Northern Ireland is so insulting, and it's so obvious that there was collusion during the Troubles. We all knew this. Anyone who understands the Troubles knows this. You had collusion between the British state and these paramilitaries. Now this is just another confirmation. This is another brick in the wall. It's another confirmation of British state terrorism. That's what it is. This is Talbot Street. So you had 2 car bombs that went off and just killed a bunch of people. This is 1974, right? Dublin and Manningham bombings. Just one example. It's just one example. I mean, you have hundreds. I think it's over 1,000 people killed in Troubles, and it's not just about the number of people killed. You got to think of families, the relatives. It branches out. It branches out, and the fact that they're going around calling the IRA terrorists when they are teaching people to behave like terrorists. How are you going to go and call the IRA terrorists when you're doing stuff like this? You're just murdering civilians for no reason. It's not even a legitimate target in any capacity. Just murdering people, terrorizing them, literally terrorizing them. Again, I go back to my previous point about who is in the room. You saw these people sitting in the room that are being trained in bomb making by a British soldier.
Get a lesson on
with decades of experience. Who are these guys? Are they fanatics? Maybe some of them are fanatics. What about the future? Maybe in the future, some of them turn into fanatics, and then they start giving bomb making lessons to what become terrorist groups. I already warned you about this. You're gonna have a flood. You're gonna have an absolute flood of weapons leaking into Europe and the rest of the world as a result of what's happening in Ukraine. Just like in Afghanistan, with Mujahideen, with the Cold War. Just like the Americans flooded it, all this weaponry, it has to go somewhere at the end of the day, right? There's so many weapons in Ukraine right now. It's ridiculous. I mean, it makes actual NATO members look like neutral countries, right? That's how many weapons you have in Ukraine. Ukraine has more weapons than actual members of NATO, okay? And those weapons are going to end up somewhere. Not all of them are going to be used. In any war, you always have things that are left over. How do you know that the weaponry, the ordnances and the know-how, the technical knowledge to operate these weapons, to create clandestine bombs, terrorists, to carry out terrorist acts? How do you know that this is going to stay within Ukrainian armed forces and not be used for something worse? For something throughout Europe or in the rest of the world? How do you know that? You have no guarantee. Why are you teaching people this thing? What about people watching online? I mean, they went pretty much. I mean, look, it's not a tutorial here, but you might have someone who has mental issues, and I mean someone who's could be someone who's childish or someone who's a fanatic or whatever it is. That doesn't mean mental issues necessarily, but someone who's troubled, shall we say? Pardon the pun. Who's watching this and kind of like getting inspired to go and try bomb making. And then they lose their hand, or they get into trouble, or they kill people. This is it's extraordinarily dangerous, and it's so insulting to victims of the Troubles, and just another confirmation of British state terrorism. I'm actually glad they published this, because it just proves the point that you had the state, you had Margaret Thatcher, saying, "Oh, a crime is a crime is a crime." Yeah, you know a lot about crime. Yeah, we saw what you blew up in Dublin. We know what you did. And all her predecessors. Just disgusting, really disgusting behavior. We're just teaching people to be terrorists in the name of resistance. Look, man, there's definitely a distinction between the two. But you could have at least hidden the fact that God, that accent is so thick. It's so thick. Anyone could just see it, and hear it like miles away. Make an effort, make an effort. God damn it. It goes without saying. But why isn't the British state teaching Palestinians how to resist, with bomb making, or as they call it, counterinsurgency insurgency and resistance activities? I don't know. I don't know the bloody hell they called it in the program. It doesn't matter. The point is that they're giving this know-how and all these guns to the Ukrainians. Why not help the Palestinians, man? Oh, that's right. It's terrorism when you help the Palestinians, right? When that will be terrorism. Sorry, my bad. God.